Last Tuesday, a customer drove into my shop in a 3-year-old turbocharged crossover. 41,000 miles. The turbo was gone. He was paying $700 a month for that vehicle, and now he was looking at a $4,000 repair bill on top of it. He asked me what I drove. I told him. He looked surprised. I have been a mechanic for 23 years, and the vehicles the dealers push hardest are almost never the ones that last. Today I am counting down 5 SUVs that mechanics actually choose for their own families. Stay with me till the end, because number 1 might be the most important car advice you ever hear. Here is the filter every mechanic applies before recommending any used SUV. Naturally aspirated engine. Timing chain, not a belt. No direct injection or a dual injection system that prevents carbon buildup on the valves. A transmission with a real-world track record longer than 5 years. Parts available at any auto parts store for under $50. If a vehicle cannot pass all 5 tests, it does not make this list, no matter what badge is on the grille or what star rating appeared in the advertisement. The auto industry has spent 20 years engineering complexity into vehicles that used to be simple. The people paying for that complexity are the owners, every single time. Starting at number 5 is the SUV most buyers walk straight past on the lot because it does not have the right size or the right reputation. The 3rd generation Honda CR-V from 2007 through 2011 with a 2.4-liter K24 4-cylinder. I know what you are thinking. A compact Honda in a list about family SUVs. Stay with me, because this vehicle consistently costs its owners less to run than trucks priced 3 times higher. A customer named Sandra came into my shop about 2 years ago. She was 63, recently retired, and her adult daughter had talked her into trading her old Pilot for something more manageable. Her budget was $8,000. She was worried about getting in and out, about repair costs on a fixed income, and about whether a smaller SUV could actually handle a real life. I found her a 2009 CR-V XL with 81,000 miles, clean title, 1 owner, listed at $7,800. She drove it home that Saturday. I heard from her 14 months later. She had put 19,000 miles on it. Total repair costs in that time were 1 set of brake pads and 2 oil changes. She told me she had stopped worrying about the car entirely. At her age, on a fixed income, that is the whole point. Here is what is under the hood that matters. The 2.4-liter K24 4-cylinder is the same engine family that powers the Honda Accord, the Element, and the Acura TSX, 190 horsepower. Port fuel injected, timing chain, no turbocharger, no direct injection, no variable cam phasers waiting to rattle at startup. Honda paired it with a proven 5-speed automatic that every independent shop in the country has understood completely for 15 years. I have personally watched this powertrain cross 260,000 miles in vehicles that had not seen a dealer service bay since the original warranty expired. RepairPal rates the 3rd generation CR-V at 4.5 out of 5 for reliability, one of the highest scores ever given to a compact SUV. The average annual repair cost, according to RepairPal, is $407. In my shop, real-world cost on a well-maintained example is closer to $280 a year. Most of that is tires and brakes. Here is your inspection checklist. First, check the rear differential fluid on all-wheel drive models. Honda's real-time all-wheel drive system uses a dual pump fluid that needs changing every 30,000 miles, and the majority of owners never did it. A fluid change costs $80. A failed rear differential costs $1,400. Second, inspect the air conditioning compressor on cold start. Listen for a chirp or a rattle in the first 30 seconds. Compressor replacement runs about $700 at an independent shop. Third, check the VTC actuator on startup. A rattle that lasts longer than 3 seconds is a $400 repair. Normal is a brief tick that disappears immediately. Fourth, look underneath at the front subframe for rust on any example from a northern salt state. Pro tip, find the EXL trim with leather seats and a power driver seat. The leather is easier on older joints than cloth, and the power seat adjustment is not a comfort feature on this vehicle. For anyone sharing a car with a driver of a different height, it is a safety feature. Who should buy this CR-V? Anyone who needs the lowest ownership cost on this entire list. Anyone who values visibility and easy entry over cargo volume. Anyone who wants Honda reliability in a compact package for under $9,000. Who should skip it? If you regularly carry more than 4 adults or need to tow more than 1,500 pounds, this vehicle is not sized for that job. Move to the next one on this list instead. Number 4 is the vehicle I steer most families toward when they keep getting pushed towards something they cannot afford to maintain. The second-generation Toyota RAV4 from 2006 through 2012 with the 2.5-liter 2ARFE 4-cylinder. Not the V6, not the hybrid. The base 4-cylinder that Toyota has built into more vehicles than almost any other engine in their history. A customer named Marcus came in about 18 months ago. He was 47, 2 kids in car seats, wife commuting 40 miles each way. His previous vehicle was a 2014 Ford Escape with the 1.6-liter EcoBoost. At 68,000 miles, the turbocharger failed. The repair estimate was $2,200 on a vehicle worth $9,000. He had heard enough. His budget was $11,000. I found him a 2010 RAV4 Sport with the 2.5-liter, 94,000 miles, clean Carfax, listed at $10,400. He did not ask a second question. Marcus called me 8 months after that purchase. He had put 22,000 miles on it. Total repairs were 1 battery and 1 set of wiper blades. He told me his wife had stopped asking him what would happen if the car broke down. For a family with 2 car seats in the back, that is the only reliability metric that actually matters. Here is what is under the hood. The 2.5-liter 2ARFE 4-cylinder makes 179 horsepower. Same engine family as the Toyota Camry, the Venza, and the Highlander 4-cylinder. Port fuel injected, timing chain, no turbocharger, no direct injection. Toyota has built millions of this engine across multiple platforms, which means every independent shop in the country has seen one. Parts are available everywhere, and the failure modes are completely understood. Behind it sits a proven 4-speed or 5-speed automatic depending on the year. Transmission so well mapped that a full rebuild at high mileage runs under $1,500 at any competent independent shop. Here's what makes this RAV4 a better choice than the competition most buyers consider at this price. The most common alternative I see people gravitating toward is the Ford Escape with the 1.6 or 2.0-liter EcoBoost from the same era. I fix those engines regularly. Turbo failures, carbon deposits choking the intake valves from direct injection, coolant intrusion on the 1.6-liter in colder climates. The average annual real-world repair cost on a 2013 EcoBoost Escape runs over $900 in my shop experience. The RAV4 4-cylinder from the same years runs under $350. That difference compounds over 5 years of ownership into money that stays in your pocket instead of mine. RepairPal rates the second-generation RAV4 at 4 out of 5 for reliability. Average annual repair cost is $430 according to their data. In my shop, real-world cost, on the 4-cylinder specifically, is closer to $320 a year. I have customers pass 230,000 miles on factory drivetrains with nothing beyond fluids, brakes, and tires. Here is your inspection checklist. First, check the automatic transmission fluid condition. Dark brown fluid with a burnt smell means it has never been changed and the transmission has been working harder than it should. A fluid service runs $120. A rebuild runs $1,500. Second, inspect the rear differential fluid on 4-wheel drive models. Same pattern of neglect as the CR-V. Third, check the timing chain cover for oil seepage at high mileage. Light seepage above 150,000 miles is normal and not urgent. Heavy weeping needs addressing before it reaches the timing system. Fourth, look at all 4 wheel wells for rust on any northern example. Pro tip, skip the V6 trim entirely on this generation. The 3.5-liter V6 is a capable engine, but it sits in a vehicle not designed around it, runs warmer under load, and costs more at every service interval. The 4-cylinder is the version mechanics quietly own. Find a 2010 or newer base or sport trim with the 4-cylinder and you have the RAV4 that runs to 200,000 miles without a conversation about it. Who should buy this RAV4? Anyone who needs more cargo space than the CR-V provides. Any family with 2 or more children who needs room to actually use the vehicle. Anyone who wants Toyota reliability in a practical package for under $12,000. Who should skip it? If you need to tow more than 3,500 pounds consistently, the 4-cylinder is at its limit. The next vehicle on this list handles that job without breaking a sweat. Number 3 is where this list stops being polite and starts getting serious. Because number 3 is not a crossover at all. It is a body-on-frame truck platform that Toyota engineered over 15 years and then had almost nothing left to improve because the design was already correct. The 4th-generation Toyota 4Runner from 2003 through 2009 with the 4.0-liter 1GRFE V6. A customer named Diane came into my shop 2 years ago. She was 58, a retired nurse, and she had spent the previous decade watching her husband cycle through 2 Ford Explorers and a Nissan Pathfinder. Transmission failures, turbo failures, electrical problems that started showing up at 60,000 miles on vehicles that still had payments on them. She was done. Her daughter had just moved 3 hours away through mountain terrain, and Diane was driving that route every 6 weeks alone. Her budget was $14,000, and she told me she wanted something she would never have to think about again. I found her a 2007 4Runner SR5 V6 and 2-wheel drive, 126,000 miles. Full service history, listed at $13,200. She sat in it, drove around the block, came back, and said she would take it. I am going to quote her exactly, because she called me a month after the purchase and said this: "I stopped worrying the day I drove it off the lot, and I have not started again." That is what the right vehicle does for a person. That is the whole point of this list. Here is what is under the hood. The 4.0-liter 1GRFE V6 makes 236 horsepower. Same engine family as the Toyota Tacoma, the FJ Cruiser, and the Lexus GX. Naturally aspirated, port fuel injected, timing chain, aluminum block with iron cylinder sleeves. Paired with the A750E 5-speed automatic, the same transmission family Toyota installs in the Land Cruiser. If this kind of straight talk is useful to you, do me a favor and hit subscribe. I put out a video every week on the vehicles that mechanics actually trust and the ones they quietly tell their families to avoid. RepairPal rates the 4th-generation 4Runner at 4 out of 5 for reliability. Average annual repair cost is $514. In my shop, working on the V6 specifically rather than the V8 trim, real-world cost is closer to $300 a year. I have personally watched a 2005 4Runner cross 340,000 miles on its original drivetrain. The owner brought it in for a routine oil change at 338,000 miles. There was nothing wrong with it. Here is your inspection checklist. First, check the lower ball joints. There was a recall campaign on earlier models in this generation, and you need to confirm the replacement was actually performed before you hand over any money. A failed lower ball joint is not a repair bill. It is a safety issue. Second, inspect the frame at the rear spring, purchase on any example from a salt state. Rust at that location can compromise the frame structurally and turn an otherwise exceptional vehicle into scrap. Get it on a lift before you buy. Third, test the rear hatch glass separately from the liftgate. The power window motor in the rear hatch is a known failure on this generation. Replacement runs about $250 at an independent shop. Fourth, pull the transmission dipstick and check fluid color and smell. Same discipline as the RAV4. Pro tip: buy the SR5 V6 in 2-wheel drive. The V8 trim sits 4 inches taller, adds mechanical complexity, and burns more fuel without adding meaningful durability. The V6 runs cooler and operates comfortably within its power band for this vehicle's weight. Two-wheel drive keeps the front axle out of the equation entirely and saves money on every service interval for as long as you own it. Who should buy this 4Runner? Anyone who tows a small camper or a boat trailer. Anyone in a rural area where road conditions are unpredictable and help is not close. Anyone who has replaced 2 or 3 SUVs in the last decade and is finished doing that. Who should skip it? If you commute daily in a dense city with tight parking structures, it is nearly 16 feet long. If fuel economy above 19 miles per gallon is a hard requirement, this is not the vehicle for that job. And now number 2, the SUV I would buy myself if I retired tomorrow and had $15,000 to spend. And before you hear the badge and assume it is out of reach, stay with me, because the used market for this vehicle makes almost no financial sense, and the dealerships are counting on you never realizing it. The Lexus GX 470 from 2003 through 2009. A customer named Robert came into my shop about a year ago. He was 64, a retired contractor, and he had driven a Chevy Tahoe for 11 years. The Tahoe had served him well, but his back had not, and climbing in and out of a full-size truck body had become a daily problem his doctor was now commenting on. His wife had been patient about it for 2 years. His budget was $15,000, and he told me up front he was not interested in anything that felt like a step down. I found him a 2007 GX 470 with 109,000 miles. Leather, third-row, heated seats, listed at $14,500. He sat in it for 2 minutes and said he would take it without asking me a second question. 11 months later, he has put 28,000 miles on it. Total repairs were 1 steering rack boot seal and 1 set of wiper blades. He texted me last month. I am going to quote him exactly. He wrote, "This is the nicest vehicle I have ever owned, and I have owned 2 Cadillacs." Here is the engineering reality that most buyers never hear. The Lexus GX 470 is mechanically a Toyota Land Cruiser Prado, wearing a Lexus badge and a refined interior. Same ladder frame, same drivetrain. The 2UZ-FE 4.7-liter V8 under the hood is the identical engine powering the Toyota Land Cruiser 100 series and the original Tundra. Iron block, iron cylinder sleeves, naturally aspirated, port fuel injected, 235 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque available from idle. Tow rating of 6,500 pounds. This is the engine that built Toyota's working reputation across the Australian outback, the Middle East, and every operating environment that punishes mechanical weakness without warning or mercy. The GX 470 stickered between $52,000 and $62,000 new. Clean used examples are trading between $12,000 and $17,000 today. That is near Land Cruiser engineering for the price of a used compact crossover. The depreciation curve has already flattened completely. The mechanical quality underneath has not changed at all. RepairPal rates the GX 470 at 4 out of 5 for reliability. Average annual repair cost is $622. In my shop, real-world cost on the drivetrain itself is closer to $400 a year. The additional expense on these vehicles almost always traces back to one specific component, which the checklist below addresses directly. Here is your inspection checklist. First, and this is the critical one on this vehicle, test the rear air suspension. Start the engine cold and listen for the compressor running longer than 30 seconds. Park it overnight and check whether the rear sits lower in the morning than when you parked it. The air suspension is the only meaningful weakness on an otherwise extremely durable platform. Replacement airbags run $1,400 per side at an independent shop. A full conversion to coil springs runs $800 total and eliminates the issue permanently. Factor that cost into your offer, regardless of how the suspension presents on the test drive. Second, verify the timing belt service history. The 2UZ-FE uses a belt at a 90,000-mile interval. No documented service means budget $800. Third, inspect the rear liftgate hinges for corrosion on higher mileage examples. Pro tip, Hunt specifically for one where the previous owner already converted the rear suspension to coil springs. That owner absorbed the cost and solved the only real problem on the vehicle. You inherit a GX 470 with its single weak point already addressed and never think about it again. Who should buy the GX 470? Anyone who wants Land Cruiser engineering at half the Land Cruiser price. Anyone who tows. Anyone who wants a genuine luxury cabin without paying genuine luxury repair bills. Anyone who has been told their budget rules out a truly durable vehicle. It does not. Who should skip it? If you cannot set aside $1,500 in the first year for the air suspension conversion, get the 4Runner at number 3 instead. Same bones underneath. Nothing else to worry about. And now, here it is. Number 1. The SUV I would buy for my own family tomorrow if my wife called me and said she needed something she could drive for the next 10 years without thinking about it once. The second-generation Toyota Highlander from 2008 through 2013 with the 3.5-liter V6. And I want to be specific, not the hybrid, the standard V6. This is the vehicle I recommend more than any other that comes through this shop. And the reason is simple. It wins every category that matters in real family ownership at the same time. A customer named Patricia came into my shop about 2 years ago. She was 69 years old, a retired school administrator, and her son had brought her in because she had just had her second knee replacement and could no longer get out of her old Ford Explorer without grabbing the doorframe with both hands. Her budget was $13,000. She needed 3 rows for her grandchildren. She needed to get in and out without pain every single day, and she needed something she would never have to worry about on a fixed income. I found her a 2011 Highlander Limited V6 with 88,000 miles, leather, heated seats, 3 rows, listed at $12,600. The day she came to pick it up, she sat down in the driver's seat and did not say a word for almost a full minute. Then she looked at me. I am going to quote her exactly because I have repeated this to every customer who has walked in here unsure about this vehicle. She said, "I just sat down. I didn't pull, I didn't brace, I just sat down." That was 2 years ago. She is now at 121,000 miles. Total repair costs in 24 months were 1 cabin air filter, 2 oil changes a year, and 1 battery. She told me last month she plans to drive it until she stops driving entirely. Here is what makes this Highlander the right answer for more families than anything else on this list. The 2GR FE 3.5-liter V6 is the same engine family powering the Lexus RX 350, the Toyota Venza, and the Toyota Sienna. The most produced and most proven V6 in Toyota's entire history. 270 horsepower, naturally aspirated, port fuel injected, timing chain. Paired with the U660E 6-speed automatic, a transmission refined across millions of miles of fleet and family service. The step in height is 19 inches, the lowest of any 3-row SUV ever produced. It tows 5,000 pounds. Toyota's internal engineering target for the A-pillar geometry revision in this generation was specifically the driver over 60. They built this vehicle for real human bodies on purpose, and every customer who sits in one for the first time understands that within 30 seconds. RepairPal rates the second-generation Highlander at 4.5 out of 5 for reliability, among the highest scores ever recorded for a midsize SUV. Average annual repair cost is $489. In my shop, real-world cost on the V6 runs around $300 a year. I have multiple customers pass 250,000 miles on factory drivetrains with nothing beyond routine maintenance their whole lives. Here is your inspection checklist. First, and this is the critical one, check the VVTi oil line. Some 2008 through 2010 models had a rubber section in the oil line feeding the variable valve timing system that could fail without warning. Toyota issued a recall and replaced it with a steel line. Open the hood and look at the line on the top driver's side of the engine. If you see rubber, the recall work was never done. Factor $300 into your offer. Second, check for water intrusion in the rear cargo area. The rear hatch seal fails on these and can soak the spare tire well without any visible sign from inside the cabin. Third, test the third row seat folding mechanism. They stiffen around 100,000 miles. Penetrating lubricant usually solves it completely and costs $4. Pro tip: find a 2011, 2012, or 2013 in limited trim. Those years received updated transmission programming, better leather, and memory seat function. The memory seat is the single most practical feature for any household where two adults of different heights share one vehicle every day. Who should buy this Highlander? Any family that needs 3 rows without a full-size SUV footprint. Any buyer who wants to spend money on a vehicle one time and stop thinking about it for a decade. Anyone who has been told their budget rules out genuine quality. It does not. Who should skip it? If you need to tow more than 5,000 pounds regularly, the 4Runner is the right call. For everyone else, this is the answer. So there it is, 5 SUVs that mechanics actually choose for their own families. The Honda CR-V for the lowest ownership cost in the compact class. The Toyota RAV4 4-cylinder for the family that needs more room without more expense. The Toyota 4Runner for anyone who needs something genuinely indestructible. The Lexus GX 470 for Land Cruiser engineering at used crossover prices. And the one I would buy for my own family tomorrow, the second-generation Toyota Highlander V6. None of these will impress a salesman. None have turbocharged 4 cylinders or 12-inch touchscreens. What they have is something the modern SUV market has spent 20 years engineering out of existence. Engines that run, transmissions that last, a seat your body can find without help. Next time a salesman tries to walk you toward a $45,000 crossover with cloth seats and a 3-cylinder turbo, you will know exactly what to do. Walk to the back of the lot and find one of these instead. 23 years of pulling wrenches has taught me one thing. The vehicles the market ignores are almost always the ones your family should be driving. Take care of your car and it will take care of you. I'll see you in the next one.